Been a combo breaker before? Yeah, I've been a couple times. It's normally a really good event. It might be my favorite event, actually, of everything I've been to.
少しティージングしてた、ファーカムラムムエタイですねを、フルトレーラーをちょっと持ってきたんで、もう今日早速それを皆さんに見てもらおうかなと思ってます。
And so we teased a little bit at Evo Japan, so you probably know the next character coming up is Fahkumram, but we brought the full trailer to show you guys today.
All right, let's get it. They got straight to it too. No, they ain't waste no time. All right, let's see what we're dealing with here, man. Where does Evo rank for you for what you've been to as far as events go? I don't know. I'll get back to that. Let's peep this trailer. Hey man, the patches for the game, these last couple have been good, and hopefully that trend continues. So maybe he won't be, you know, super egregious. That's admirable, I suppose. Uh-huh. I mean, that's a pretty cool intro. That was kind of underwhelming. The setup for it was really cool. That shit was kind of underwhelming though. His win pose is kind of tough. You know. Wait. Armor King. Let's go! Oh, thank God. That means no Kunimitsu, though. At least not this season. It was Armor King, though. That's so much more hype than Fak. Can we like swap it? Can we, you know what I mean? Can we, you know what I mean? I didn't like what I saw in that Fahkumram trailer, but I'm not gonna go too ham. I'll see, you know, what it's like when the character actually releases. Armor King looks sick, though. The thing is, though, is that the game feels like it's trending in a good direction. And some of what I saw Fahkumram doing in that trailer ain't really in line with the direction that we really want to see the game go. What with the install and the guard breaks and everything. I really just don't think Tekken needs those types of things, man, personally. This top 8 is about to be ridiculous, though. So yeah, that was my live reaction to the Fahkumram trailer at Combo Breaker. Combo Breaker itself was an incredible event that I had a ton of fun watching. I wish I would have streamed more of it, you know, watching it with you guys in the chat, whether that's on YouTube or on Twitch, but I was catching the action all weekend, and I did at least restream top 8 with you guys, and that might have been my favorite event for Tekken 8 thus far. And I still feel that way, even you know, a couple of days removed from it now. Well, really just one day removed from it now. Yeah, man, it was a really dope event. It was a lot of fun to watch. I think some of the play that we saw was just, yeah, some of the best Tekken yet. That being said, obviously my reaction to Fahkumram wasn't much of a reaction, but I figured some of you guys who missed it would want to see it regardless and then hear me speak on it. I'm adding on a little bit more here because obviously there wasn't much substance to my reaction. And so I'll say that obviously I was not moved at all by Fahkumram's trailer. I actually thought it was, even for a character that like I'm not excited for, I just felt like it was like kind of stale and boring. It just wasn't really, I just thought it was really underwhelming, but maybe that's just because I already had a predisposition to the character. I think that's fine though. The character's not for me. He's not going to be for me. Will I try him out when he gets released? Maybe. We'll see. Hopefully the game's in a much better state by then. We got, again, patch coming up in a couple of weeks in June, then another one in July. He's not releasing until July, so by the time he drops, excuse me, the game should be in a spot that most players find agreeable by that point. Like I've been reiterating, I think it's already trending in the right direction, so I'm looking forward to all of that. And you know, every DLC character doesn't have to be for me, you know what I'm saying? Like it's actually within the best interest of a game and the community and everyone else to have a few characters that like some people hate, because other people are going to have very different tastes and they're going to really like that character. As much as I am not a fan of Fahkumram, there's some people who are really excited and really looking forward to that character, and I think that's all well and good. I think the most important thing at this point is that if he's going to be in the game is that he's balanced, you know what I mean? But it looks like he's clearly going to have some sort of install and the guard break stuff, and then he's got string mix-ups, and I think it's going to be very important to differentiate between the mids and the highs and his strings and everything like that. I think as long as the character doesn't drop and he's insanely broken, then it shouldn't be too bad, although we've seen a history of broken DLC characters, so it wouldn't shock me, but hoping for the best, you know, fingers crossed. And yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the character, and I wasn't really impressed by the trailer, but that's fine because other people were, and I think that's a good thing. So as long as the people who are fans of Fahkumram or wanted that sort of play style, wanted to see Muay Thai in the game, if those people who were looking forward to this character or that fighting style, whatever, are excited, then it is what it is. That being said, Armor King, looking forward to Armor King. To me, I've always thought that like King is like one of the coolest grapplers like in fighting game history, if not the coolest one, and that's coming from somebody who's typically not a fan of grapplers and the grappler play style. But King, Armor King is just even cooler King, because like he can box a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? Like he can mix up with his throws and stuff like that, but he can also just get in there and like really throw hands. Although that being said, like they've given King so many of Armor King's moves, and regular King can also just kind of box and do some crazy stuff, and you really don't even got to use the throws like that to succeed with the character up to a certain skill level, right? But I'm definitely looking forward to Armor King, probably more than any other DLC character I think we've gotten so far, to be honest. If you think about season 1, between Lydia, who was like, you know, it was cool, I liked her, Eddie was, you know, it was cool, I guess, and then you had Heihachi, who I do like. I do think that's a pretty cool version of Heihachi, and then Clive, who I'm not a fan of at all, despite how cool I think he is actually in Final Fantasy 16. And then in season 2 you got Anna, then Fahkumram, and so it was really like I'm not really impressed with the DLC. And I understand as well as that, like, you know, a lot of the stuff is decided like a long time ago, and like how you want to implement it and everything like that, and whether they want to pivot or stuff. I don't know if it's if I left that part in, if I was still recording, but we briefly spoke on stream about, you know, I mentioned before that like adding Fahkumram felt kind of tone deaf considering like the climate with Tekken and everything like that. But it's like, you know, they probably already had that roadmap, that plan. These characters take time to develop, so that was already in motion, and they probably did tweak some things and change some things in order to like kind of pivot to some degree as to how, you know, they were originally going to implement them or whatever. At least that's what you would hope, right? And so it like that is what it is. And I also understand that, you know, there's like a conversation on Twitter where it's like, and you know, it's Twitter at the end of the day, so take it with a grain of salt. But it's like, okay, like what do you guys actually want? Like, do you want returning characters? Do you want like new characters? Do you want, you know what I'm saying? Because like you can't make everybody happy. But it's like, oh, like if you give this character, if you add this character, then it's like, oh, they're recycling DLC. But then if you don't add this character, it's like, we want so and so, you know what I mean? And the reality of it is that different people are obviously vocal about different things. I'm somebody who really wants Kunimitsu, right? A lot of people don't like Kunimitsu. If I got Kunimitsu, I'd be excited. But I've also am someone who was critical of like, hey, they're kind of going through a lot of the same DLC characters that they just had in Tekken 7, which is true. I mean, like Armor King, Fahkumram, Anna, all these Lydia, all these characters were DLC characters in Tekken 7. So on one hand, it does feel like they're just recycling the same thing. And I would, you know, I would argue that it's not necessarily so much of an issue as that like, oh, they're recycling characters by bringing back, because obviously if you're going to bring back legacy characters who aren't in the game, then they have to be DLC if they're not in the base roster. I just feel like some of those characters should have just been base roster. A character like Lydia, a character like Fahkumram, those probably, a character like Eddie, those should have just been on the base roster. I'm not somebody who's like greedy, in my opinion, or like, you know, super, what's the word I'm looking for? It's escaping me right now. Entitled. I'm not super entitled to where I'm like, I think we just should just deserve everything and there shouldn't even be DLC. Everything should just be on the disc at launch. You know, I'm not ignorant in that way, you know what I mean? But those characters in particular, when they were just DLC in the previous game and they were new additions to the Tekken franchise and some of them were late game and everything like that, it's like they should probably be base roster, you know what I mean? Like Eddie is just a staple who just like, it feels like a character that you take out just to add him as a DLC because you know people are going to ask for him. Lydia was just added as DLC as a brand new Tekken character, probably should have just been returning base roster. Same thing goes with Fahkumram. Anna, Armor King, those are characters I understand, like not necessarily throwing in base roster, even though they have super hardcore cult followings who always demand for that character. But like I kind of get it. And then Heihachi, we kind of went through this conversation before already, so I'm not going to repeat myself too much, even though I already did. Basically, the point is, Fahkumram doesn't move me, but you know, I'll give him a shot and see how he gets implemented into the game when the time comes. Armor King I'm looking forward to a lot, and yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. But how about you guys? How are you feeling? What did you think of the trailer? You know what I mean? Let me know your thoughts about the DLC in the comment section down below. Hit this video with a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't already, so you can stay tuned for all the awesome content I'm bringing you. With all that being said, that's pretty much all I have today. And remember, nothing could happen until you swing the bat. Later.